Hi, I'm George the Antique Nomad. Come with me as I wander the country in search of valuable vintage, amazing antiques, and cool collectibles. We'll buy, sell, and trade at antique malls, shops, and shows, estate sales, flea markets, thrift stores, anywhere people go to find really interesting things that just aren't made anymore. So come on, let's go! Good morning, everybody. I'm George the Antique Nomad, and I am at Reniger's Mount Dora Antique Show. But I am doing a haul video today because I have gotten so much fresh merchandise for this show and my final show in Florida for the 2021-22 season, which is 2 weeks from now in West Palm Beach. So I've been buying up a storm, and I have some really fun things to show you. So I'm just going to show you things that I've gotten recently. And the first one, which I just love, if you watched Primetime Treasure Hunter and saw me on Thrift Battle against Rachel Strickland, you saw this item when I held it up, and boy, it's heavy. It is made of solid wood. It looks a lot like Monstro from Pinocchio, the whale in the Disney cartoon, but it is a fan. There is a motor in here. Wind comes out of the face and it comes out of the blowhole. They probably had streamers that floated out there at some time. I imagine this was in a seafood restaurant or something. It's got an old plug, so it's got some age. It's a one-of-a-kind item. I mean, I don't really know how you compare this to anything for a comparable sale, but I think that it's probably in the $350 to $400 range potentially, because it's just such a neat prop. It seems like the kind of thing someone would buy to put in an amusement place, a restaurant, something like that. So I was really excited to find that one. Let's look at the jewelry and boudoir table, because we've got a lot of fresh stock here, including this, which I just got this morning for $45, a hanging lucite lamp. It needs bulbs, but it will sell in St. Pete. People really love to put these in houses that they're renovating. The purses, we added a very pretty mesh purse here with the flowers from about 1930. And then this piece, which is from India, that hinges and has all the stones in it. That's a really pretty one too. Very different style, very funky and bohemian. I think of Laura Caldwell when I see things like that. From Left Coast Revivals. This box here is Fenton Burmese with the hand painting, and I had two cats, but the cat sold yesterday. This is a Waterford Marquis perfume bottle, little Fenton elephant box behind, and a blue trunk vase from the early 1900s in the opalescent. Next to it is the Phoenix vase that was in the estate sale in Boynton Beach, and that really I felt should have sold for a decent price, so we're going to take it around until it does. It looks great with the sun coming through it. It definitely, you need a little bit of a glow to see how pretty it is, the way they've done the wash of color over the outside. Some more Fenton. The egg on the left is new to me. And then this is Salvador Dali perfume. That only cost a whole $1. Can you believe it? This little piece here, Agnes Mills. Agnes Mills is a well-known sculptor, so that's why it's $85, even though it looks like just a little lump of metal. She is highly regarded. Her big statues go for over $1,000. I got this nice piece here, the Hollywood Regency style gold perfume bottle with the dauber. And I also got this with the amber jewel, same sort of thing for the Kleenex box. Behind is a really pretty 1930s boudoir lamp, very partial to that. And then perfume bottles, we have a few. This one is Glass Eye Studio, and it's signed 1992, so that's before they went offshore. This black one is 1960s, but it is black amethyst. Looks like a 30s era piece, but it's a little later because it's so strong geometry. Probably made in Germany. And then these two are art glass. This one has a studio signature, and the one behind it is pretty as well. And it did not have a signature, but I thought it was very attractive with that gold speckle all the way through it. Got a bunch of fountain pens. I just haven't had any lately, so it was really nice to find some pens and pencils. They came as a lot. I'll have to test them to see how they work. Some are in better shape than others. What else did we get of interest here? We did get some fresh jewelry. This chunky bracelet here from the 1950s. The Italian micro mosaic is pre-war. I was happy to get that. And then we have an attractive red and some blue. Those are no names, but they're good costume from the 50s and 60s. And then in the case, this is a very pretty brooch with the encrusted and the white ovals. Several cocktail rings. These are all 14 karat gold. The one in coral with the rose there is nice. A couple of pocket watches. And some wrist watches. That's a Ben wrist there. I like these Navajo pieces. The sort of champagne colored in the back, that's a necklace and a bracelet from Kramer of New York. That's a good brand. And then underneath the boudoir lamp, this big encrusted Eastery looking piece, that is signed Schiaparelli. That's a really good piece. That's probably worth $135 to $150. Some Cyrilli, which is newer but very colorful and very collectible now as well. And then here, this is a very pretty Hollycraft set with the pinks and purples and greens from the 1960s. I just bought all of this Raymore. Now this is the Raymore by Steubenville after Roseville's Raymore went out of production. But the prices on this are good. The modernists really like this. It's kind of up there with Russell Wright because it's a good designer, the teapot in particular. I paid $125 for all the pieces I'm going to show you, which include the bowls, the casserole and lid, the teapot, 2 gravy boats and a tab-handled lug bowl. And that was a good price. I got them for probably 30% of eBay prices, so that was really wonderful. And from this side, I'm going to show you this little bronze, which is a horse, and it does have a signature underneath. It's a limited edition series piece, so I thought that was neat. And then next to him, this Spelter piece is a conquistador. Now, I owned this piece before and ended up buying it back from the person I sold it to because he's moving and doesn't have room for it anymore. I think he's very handsome and very appropriate for Florida. And he should be worth about $100 to $125. I got a bunch of Disney and related items that are from the theme parks that are out of production but relatively new. But because I was at Mount Dora, where a lot of Disney people, collectors, and employees live, I've sold several pieces for my consignor. Harry Potter, the wands, they are talking about taking these out of production now that it's been popular for a generation that Harry Potter and magic wands might get canceled too. The ringside glove has Muhammad Ali's signature on it, very faintly, but I think you can make it out there. And I even have a sled because it's 80 degrees, so we need a sled. This poster was done in 1986 for the centennial of the Statue of Liberty. I believe it was a fundraiser to help restore her. It's by Melanie Taylor Kent, and it's just got really strong graphics, and that gold in the print was something that was a fairly new concept in the 1980s. You can look down here at all the different people who are somehow being represented on this. There's an astronaut, Miss USA, 100th anniversary of Bartholdi's Gift of Lady Liberty, mixed media lithographed, gold signed and gold numbered edition. So there's the numbering. And here is her signature. This was pretty expensive when new, I think around $500. I'm not sure what they're running now. I'll have to do a little bit of research. And then scarves. I have an entire box full, and hankies too. Here. I picked these up at one of the recent shows. They're Knickerbocker beer from New York in the 1950s, and it's a nice little set of coasters. I usually get 20 or 25 for those. This piece came from the estate sale in Boynton Beach, and I took it on consignment because it's got the design, the hand painting of a Deruta piece, but it's actually Hall China, and now Hall China is no more. So I'm looking for interesting pieces of theirs. The little globe here, sometimes these are cigarette holders or have other functions. This one's just a desk ornament, but it's cute, from about 1970. This little guy is an army mascot from about 1960, made of felt and mohair and all sorts of great materials. This nice piece of Riviera. I've always liked this pattern, you know. I like square dishes. It's 1930s, and it never has any marks on it, but it was by Homer Laughlin, so it's the same colors as Fiesta, but all these really neat square shapes. squares and rectangles. The green vase here is Italian. This is Murano from the 1960s. When you see these triangular pieces, it doesn't have any mark on it, but that is a good way to tell. Sometimes they're mixed colors, and I like the forest green in this one. And then stepping back, look at the shark fin. That came from a place called Movie Props that rented those out to companies in the 1960s, 70s, 80s before CGI, and allegedly this was rented out and used on the set of Miami Vice. I'll have to go back and watch. Now out front here, I think I've shown the Indian gilded piece of furniture, but this is also from India, and this is really nice. I just got this. It's a hanging shelf. It's got a couple of tiers. It's got to be fairly early, like late 19th, early 20th century. It's got nice mother of pearl detail, which seems to mostly be intact. I think the bird has lost a little piece of his tail up here. But these things are so fragile that the fact that this one's in any kind of condition was just great, and I was happy to get it. This is another recent acquisition, this jug from Hartford, the W.J. Smith & Company. And that'll end up going to Kentucky if it doesn't sell before then. And then this is a sock stretcher. This is so that you could darn your socks. They would make something very simple out of wood, usually a piece of scrap wood. This one had a little bit of infestation, so it's got lots of little holes. Of course, it's been sprayed, so it doesn't have any problems now, and people really like these because of that. And look at all the way the nails are tacked in. And it is resting against a mid-20th century handmade rocking horse for a kid, which I think is really cute. This table has some new goodies. The table itself is interesting because it was made of something that would have rolled out batik fabric. This would have been a roller from an industrial plant, probably in India. I think I'm going to give it a little paint so that it pops out a little bit more, and I've turned it into a table by adding a glass top. But on top of it is this really cool guy. This is a candle holder. Now, getting the device out of the bottom to put the candle in looks like a trick. But then all of the light would come out of all those holes. And it's a poodle. Isn't that cute? Right out of the 50s. This little guy here is a hedgehog. I have a hedgehog collector, so I picked that up. I'm going to be doing a presentation at a Fenton glass convention at the end of July. And so I'm looking for Fenton that I think is interesting and fun, like this paperweight here, because I'm also going to have a sale day there. So I will see any of you who can get there. It's been windy, so I didn't put the shade on, but I've got a great two-tiered shade for this Panther lamp from the 1950s that I just got. It's the fiberglass shade with the black and white. And when I'm in an indoor show, it's going to look really great. What else is fresh? Well, this guy I think is really neat. You see this little carnival glass piggy bank from the 40s and 50s all the time, but you don't see Save with Marathon, the Ohio oil company, on them very often. So since it's an advertising premium, I figure it's worth about $20. Looks like Mikhail Gorbachev is kissing the back of the Clinton Matryoshka doll, but the signed Mikhail Gorbachev book is what I'm actually focusing in on. Just got that. They just have a lot of style. There's Sirocco wood or some sort of a pressed wood, but they've got a nice shape to them. And they're a good size. They're not huge. They're something somebody could use on a small wall or a column or a pillar, or in a small bathroom where they need extra light or an extra mirror because they're sharing with somebody. And they've just got a good style. This is fairly new to my inventory. It is an owl, and it is a string holder. So the string comes out of its beak there in that hole. You'd put a ball of string behind here. And this one looks like it is English and from about 1965 or 70. As a little kid, I remember I had to hold my finger so that my mother could tie string around packages when they were sent. And then they came out with shipping tape in the early 70s, and everybody was really happy about that. But people like to collect string holders anyway because they're cute and figural, and there's a good example. This gal I took on consignment from the estate sale in Boynton Beach because I think there was just so much she was unnoticed, but she's a mermaid, and I have mermaid collectors, so I'll take her out west where they live if I have to. And also at that sale were these, and we priced them up because we found out they were worth something, and they didn't sell there, so I'm going to take them to Kentucky where they will likely sell. They are wild backyard birds, and these sell for about $75 to $85 on eBay. I have that one, and I have a bluebird. Next to the bluebird, you see this very fearsome looking cat picture, which is German from about World War I. You see the mark there. Love his face. And the Florida plate is the flamingos right behind from the 1950s. This is really neat. This is carved lucite. It's dated 1990. This is about the end of the first period of carving lucite. And I just like this paperweight because it's got the pelican, it's got some color in the background. You see the boats in the back and the clouds and the piers that the pelican's standing on. I just thought that was neat. Now, I've had a really busy show and sold a lot of stuff, but there's still a lot of fresh stock here. I just got this morning. This is Beswick, or Beswick, depending on how you pronounce it. But this is a really neat little fish tray, and I just thought the shape was really great. I paid under $10 for it. I think it's worth about $25. This is also neat. This is a chromonica, and I think these are worth about $65 because it is the professional. It's got 4 chromatic octaves, so you can use this lever to change things as you're playing. And it is the Chromatica 64. I've had one of these before, and well, you can see I actually paid less than that for it. So I'm going to take that off because I intend to sell it for its retail value, which is more than that. So there we go. This little shell ashtray slash napkin holder slash desk caddy, whatever you want to use it for, I thought was really neat, and I like all these old shell souvenirs from the past, so I just pick those up whenever I see them. This one I've had before. In fact, I think I have another one in stock in Kentucky, but it's a cool TV lamp. It's Lane of California, and it's even got the original label on there. Usually they're just marked on the bottom, if anywhere, but this one's got its original sticker. Now here's something really cool that you don't see very often. This is cast iron. I was not exactly sure what it was, but a friend of mine educated me, so I'm going to share that with you. So you notice it screws. You can open it up, and there's a file in there. And the reason it unscrews is so you could change the file when you wore it down, because this was to sharpen ice skates. And it made perfect sense when he told me, because it's the only thing. I kept thinking, well, there's a file, but for what? Well, that was for shaping the blades on your ice skates so that you could keep them sharp. And then the other thing from him, which is really cool, is look at this. Now, it looks like the kind of thing you would take pizza out of the oven with. It's all carved out of one piece of wood. But the first clue is somebody made it into a clock, and when they made it into a clock, look at the numbers. They are Arabic. And that is because, and I had to be told about this one too, because it's not something I've seen in Western culture. This in Iraq would have been used in the mountains as a snow shovel. And it's one big piece of wood carved, and that's why it's flat, because you're just taking snow and throwing it off into piles. So isn't that a really cool thing? It's fun to bring things that I've never seen before because, you know, I've done this a while, so I've seen a lot of stuff, but to show you something that's new to me is really exciting. I just got this print. This is an impression by Berta Morisot. She was the woman who was the best known amongst the Impressionists, and this is Girl in a Boat with Geese. And you see the printed signature down here in the corner. This was originally done in 1889. It's really quite painterly and nice, I think. Now, I showed the Robert Hodgel painting of the Malescape with the nude figure, but this is Braden River, and he lived near Bradenton. He is being shown at the St. Pete Gallery of Fine Arts. They have part of his collection in their permanent collection. His estate sold off 20 years ago when he died, and the prices have really started to spike on him as a Florida artist, and this one should value somewhere in the $1,000 to $1,500 range. So while I'm doing my haul video here, this gentleman is Coop's Collectibles. I'll put his card up here, and he's got a YouTube channel. So we're going to exchange a little bit of information here, but I'll show you that so you can check him out on YouTube. It says he's got new videos every Sunday, and he does a lot of flea market stuff, which I know a lot of our audience really likes too. So
yeah, great. Today's the 25th flea market hunt I've done. So
wow, that's great. How fun. Yeah. It's so much fun. And
it's a blast.
We're going to talk about this piece on his channel, so I won't tell you guys a whole lot about it. You'll have to check it out there. But this one is from the Ladies Professional Golf Association. This gal also has a period appropriate frame. This is copyright 1899, and it's The American Girl. So this is right when we're starting into the Gibson Girl period. Queen Victoria is still alive, but she only is alive 2 more years. You can see women are starting to wear white and defy the convention of the Victorian era. She's very cute. I got some furniture. This piece with the stuff on it is neat because when you lift it up, and I've got so much stuff on it I can't do it with the camera, but when you lift it up it's got all sorts of partitions for silverware. They did a lot of benches and little chests as side furniture in the 1950s and 60s for silverware storage, and that's what this was for. This bowl here is Royal Dalton, and it's quite large with the cherries. And you can see the mark on the bottom here and the signature. This is 1973. There was a whole series of these done at that time. I've even seen one that was done with the faces of the people who worked for National Cash Register over the years in this country. So they did these as big centerpiece bowls, more for presentation and style, although you certainly could use it for a big bowl of fruit. This trunk vase, I've had a bunch of people come and blacklight it, and yes, it glows under a black light. Very pretty. With the big pull, that's going to be late 20s, I would say. What else is new here? The kangaroo is really cool. I do not know what the mark on the side here. It's a CHI or IHC. I think of International Harvester Company, but I can't imagine that they had a kangaroo as a logo. So that is a guy who needs a little bit of research. And then this is just a cute glass owl with a very fun little teal crest with his nose. Okay, let's see what else. This I got in Miami. It is a chocolate mold with Easter bunnies, 4 of them from about 1930. So that would have been to make Easter rabbit candy. And I've got that priced at $100. That's a pretty good chocolate mold when they're hinged and have all those parts to them. Let me show you how those work. Okay, so here it is shut. And we open it, and there are your bunnies, front and back. And they should be shiny inside because that is where it's hard for oxygen to get. So this is genuine, and it is cool, and good detail. This piece I brush with these solid ears for handles. Hall China made the mustard pot. And what's great about this, it's got the round logo, so it's before 1969. I recently found out Hall is no longer being produced. I guess Homer Laughlin shut that part of the company down. And there is the mustard spoon in it. This is a nice little butter pat to make a single little butter pat with the bridge set on it. And then this one is a rather old one, and it is made to do different butter pats on both sides. This is Scandinavian, I believe, but it came from an estate in New Jersey. And these are nice, and when they're old and carved on both sides like this, they're pretty desirable. That might be $75 to $100 potentially. These I got recently, and I have to admit, I see a lot of this funky pottery from the early 70s. I'm very glad that somebody told me that Todd Warner was a Florida artist who was really well known for these. He is passed on. This is dated 1972. These sell for as much as $200 plus online, and I have 3 of them. I have the goat, I have this, I think it's a hippo, and then this guy. This is a nice Victorian paper holder that I just bought here today for $10. I thought that was a good deal because I already had this one that had the good luck on it. The horse head, I'm not sure if I've shown you, that is from an actual hitching post. It is old, it's very heavy, it's cast iron. Nice Art Nouveau inkstand here. Needs a well. The bell is Fenton. Like I said, I'm looking for Fenton now that I'm going to be appearing in front of a bunch of Fenton folks. This is Waterford, and this is the Millennium ornament with the signature of O'Leary, the maker, on it. This piece here is Weller. This is a nice tall bud vase from about 1910 to 20. I believe it has the, what I call the typewriter stamp. The embossed mark there that you see. And here are the Musicians of Bremen. This is based on an old German fairy tale, and this one was made by Huschenreuter Company out of Germany. And it's just so curious with the different animals on it, so I will have to go read that fairy tale now and learn more about it. But I've had a few people pick it up today and recognize it right away, so apparently some folks know what that fairy tale is about. Hires root beer. He's not very happy that the dog is drinking the Hires. I don't blame him. I would be very upset if a dog drank out of my bowl. Some more Fenton pieces. Like I said, I'm starting to accumulate. I've got the Jack in the Pulpit, the purple with the flowers in the mold, and the cranberry glass here with the optic. And then this one is a painted Fenton piece sitting behind that Murano blossom holder. Underneath the Royal Copenhagen girl is a plate, and behind there a tray. This is a compote. These are Corona ware by Hancock and Sons of Stoke-on-Trent, and this was referred to as cherry ripe pattern. And I just love the painting. It's a little less precise, so it's a little more fun and sort of relaxed and casual than a lot of the English china of this era, because this is back to 1920s. So I thought that was fun. Ooh, she's sunbathing. That's Fenton as well. And then this piece is a Goebel piece, the mother with the child. It looks like she's teaching her toddler to walk. Isn't that sweet? And just the serene look on their faces. And there's the Goebel mark. This was a Charlotte Bede. She was mainly known for doing their redheads, but she did other things related to children for them as well. So she was one of their more important designers. Franciscan Picnic is a 1970s pattern. Love that butter dish. And then this is Lundberg Studios, made in the style of Tiffany from the turn of the century, but this is a 1970s piece. Lundberg and Orion and Flume and some other studios developed in the 70s, starting to make things based on turn of the century Art Nouveau glass pieces, because that style became popular again in the late 60s and early 70s. And they did beautiful work, and their work is worth some money now as well. I think that's a $150 or $200 vase. And then we've got two of the Royal Doulton miniatures. Just two, but you don't see the minis that much. I think there were only 12 of these that were made in the miniature form that are only about an inch or an inch and a half tall. These are really cute. These are all Swarovski and various makers.
Is that a mirrorless? No. It's digital.
This one is there. It's got the Swarovski mark on the bottom. They all do. This is the swan, the larger mouse. The cat with the spring tail, I always like that guy, and this little dog. I thought those were pretty cute. This is an older coin spot syrup pitcher with the lid here. And the lid still springs like it should. To the right is this Fenton cranberry piece, which is very pretty. This little one is made by Boyd's. You see the B on the bottom, so there's your Boyd's mark. It's a Boyd by Boyd's. I got this cigar box recently. I liked it because it said Havana 5, and anything that references Cuba usually does pretty well here and in West Palm Beach. And also, 5 I believe stood for 5 cents, but it's got a nice graphic inside. This guy here is canvas over a metal frame, and this was done by some sort of a carver, probably 1970s or 80s. About the time people were doing them more for entertainment as opposed to use. These glasses are popular now. I didn't pay much for them, but they do sell well. I think they sell for about 6 or 8 each online, and I have a set of 4. Well, I am so glad I got a chance to show you my latest hauls, because I have been buying a lot of really cool stuff and getting a lot of really fun stuff lately, and I wanted to share it with you while I could. I've got one more show here in Florida. I've got to redo my mall spaces, so if you see me in West Palm Beach, you have a chance at some of this stuff. If you see me at Vintage Modern St. Pete or Andrea and Friends in St. Pete, where I sell, you have a chance at some of this stuff. And if you really love something that you saw, well, send me an email, and if I still have it available, I'll be glad to give you a price. This is George the Antique Nomad. It's so great getting to share all this stuff with you. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and comment and subscribe so you can be able to click that bell and be notified of future videos. Check out our memberships. You can hit the join button or look at the description in the listings. And we will see you again somewhere on another antique and vintage adventure very soon. Bye for now. Thanks for joining me again in the fun and fascinating antique community, here where online meets the real world. Please click the subscribe button below, click the bell to be notified when new videos upload, leave a comment below, and hit thumbs up to like this video. Links to our online social media daily posts and our items for sale are in the description. This is George at the Antique Nomad. Bye for now.